Hi everyone, welcome to the 24th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by a teacher and an engineer, Patrick Rourke and Rob Farrelly. Say hi guys.
Hey.
What's up?
And I'd like to shout out my TD episode 7 guest Jason Tong, who's filling in. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
Alright guys, I think you know the gist of the podcast. I get to know my friends on a deeper level, and I've known you guys for a lot longer than my usual guest. So I'm excited to kind of get into things and get to know you guys further. So with that all said, how about you tell us a bit about yourselves?
After you.
All right. Well, hi, guys. My name's Patrick. I grew up here in North Haven with Ryan and Rob. I currently am a student. I'm a junior, just like these guys. I study at Brown University. And I guess the fun thing, I live like 2 miles from here. I literally ran here yesterday and then ran back home. So it's fun. It's cool to actually like go inside of the buildings here at Quinnipiac and be on this podcast. I'm excited to talk today.
Awesome.
Yeah. My name's Rob. Yeah, just like you guys, lived in North Haven whole life. Go to Sacred Heart as a student, and we're seniors now.
Oh, that's true. We did
seniors.
in fact finish our exams.
It's neat to be back at Quinnipiac. Took a tour here like 4 years ago. So it's cool.
Yeah, fate brought you back.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' majors, if you don't mind sharing?
So I study education, and also we have this weird. Okay, so Brown has this weird thing. We don't call them majors because we're weird. I don't know. So they're called concentrations instead. So I have one in education studies, and then I'm doing another one in this thing called social analysis and research, which is basically just sociology, except with an extra focus on research design, policy research, kind of anything you want to do with it that's like research focused. So my interests sort of are an intersection between education as like the teaching side. I definitely want to teach at some point. Ryan introduced me as a teacher. I've done a little bit here and there. I'm actually registered as a substitute teacher in a school district in Woodbridge. I go there from time to time. It's where my dad works. And I've done some teaching things while in college, like volunteering. So I know I want to teach at some point, but also I think that education research is a field that a lot of people don't know about, but it's really big. And when we talk about forming new curriculums, when we talk about trying to improve the American education system, you need people who are on that back end, who are doing the research to figure out what sort of policies would be effective and what should be implemented. So I'm hoping to do some work there as well, and that's where that sort of social analysis and research concentration will come into play. But yeah, so that's the main things that I study at Brown.
Wow. Follow that up, Rob.
I do wires. Yeah. No, I'm electrical engineering, major in electrical engineering. I also have a pretty wide variety of interests. So instead of doing a double major, I decided to add 4 minors. I have a minor in math, business, physics, and criminal justice. So fun thing is, none of those get announced at graduation. So for my own personal benefit, rather than showing off.
He's in it for learning's sake. That's
Yeah. If I had infinite money and infinite time, I would try to get a degree in basically everything.
You're collecting the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, exactly. Just gotta have 2 more minors.
Just side quest king.
Yeah.
And then we have
Gotta get all the side quests done before you graduate, right?
Yeah. And we have the academically bougie concentrations instead of majors.
It's so silly because other schools have concentrations, but they'll use those as sort of their word for minors, or certificate programs, depending on what school. I've heard it used in both those contexts. Brown is an interesting place because it tries to come up with these like creative new ideas, and there's a lot of things that I really like about Brown. One of the things which actually I think that Rob would love about Brown is it has an open curriculum, so that means you could take classes in whatever department you want. And a lot of the like requirements for a lot of the concentrations aren't super heavy. So obviously there's some, like biomedical engineering has a ton of classes that you have to take for that. But there's a lot of other ones that are not as many classes you have to take, so you have the opportunity to try a lot of different things. So unfortunately there's no minors, so you wouldn't be able to do what Rob is doing and getting 4 of them. But you could take classes in a bunch of different departments. So like next year, since I'm pretty much done with my concentrations, I'm going to try some completely different things. I've been inspired by Ryan. I'm going to try to take like an acting or directing class. Specifically, I really want to do acting. I think I would like that more than directing. But that is on my bucket list. So it's currently one of the classes that I'll be looking at for next year, and I'm super excited about that. But I think that that's an interesting model of like education that allows students to really like explore what they want to do. I don't know. It's a cool thing. I hope that more schools start trying things like that.
You'll have to let us know when your big gig comes up. We'll come up to Brown for your performance of a lifetime.
It'll certainly be something. I don't know if I'll be good at acting at all, but I think it'll be fun. If I do perform, I'll let you know though.
Some Hamlet with Pat Rourke.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've accomplished something here, guys. I got Pat to try acting.
I mean, I think it's super fun. I mean, I've followed, obviously. I mean, Ryan is one of my best friends from here from home, and so obviously I know all the stuff that he's done here. And it just like the way that his eyes light up when he talks about all of these different things that he's involved in, whether it's like the Quinnipiac Tonight, or like the improv group. I forget what the name of that is. Or is that
it's also Quinnipiac
oh, okay, so they're all okay. Okay, I guess I got that mixed up. But it just seems like such a fun environment, and like it's a different way of thinking. Like you learn a lot about yourself when you're put in a situation where you have to come up with things on the fly. I'm kind of rambling now, but I guess the thing that I'm thinking of that's similar between acting and something that I do. So for a long time I've played jazz music. I play the saxophone, and we talked about like improvisation in jazz and how you have to be able to sort of come up with things on the fly. And you're given some structure. Like obviously there's the rhythm that the drums and the bass are playing. There are the chords that are being played by the piano. So you have sort of this template, but the rest of it is up to you. And I think that's something that is similar between jazz music and acting, because you have to sort of take a scenario that you're put in as an actor and then really make it your own. And I think that that's something that I want to try. It's something that I've never tried before. And I'm wondering if the sort of jazz to acting connection that I think about in my head is actually true. So I'd be excited to explore that.
That is quite incredible. And quite fittingly, I had my acting teacher on one of these weeks, and he went to Brown, Tom Schwann. So it's kind of an interesting kind of connection there. And that is interesting, like music, acting. There's a lot of rhythm involved, and kind of, like you said, improv. And that's an interesting thing to think about. We've already talked about a lot, and I haven't even gotten into the topics yet. So kind of to begin, guys, I'd like to ask you, kind of at least from your recollection, how our friend group came to be, which is, of course, includes Jason Tong and Harrison Shea from episode 7.
That's a good question. I think that for the most part, like when we really got like the whole group together, like I've hung out with everybody, just maybe not all together. The first time we really hung out all together was kind of after high school graduation. Do you remember what sparked it?
I have one particular date in mind. Do you remember that day where we all got together and had that Nerf war?
Yeah. That was fun.
I feel like that was the first time that this particular group hang out all together. Because like I agree. Right, I mean, I've known you forever. Rob and I went to the same church growing up, so that was that's we've known each other for a very long time. And then I've known Jason for a while. I feel like maybe we had a class I can't remember if we had a class in middle school, but I definitely met him in middle school. And then Ryan and I did track together in high school, and I think that's when I started to get closer to him. But I think the first time that everyone was kind of pulled together, it was at my house. I have a ton of Nerf guns from growing up, and we were like, all right, it's the end of senior year. We want to hang out before we all go to college. And sort of what was going through my mind is I was just like, I know all these people. Some of them know each other, but maybe aren't close. Let's just put everyone together and see what happens. And it was super duper fun. I think we need to do that again, because that was a great time.
That was with a whole lot of people, right? That was with like Justin Marks, Aaron Barbero, Marcus Smith. Marcus, if you're listening to this, come back to North Haven.
But yeah, I feel like that's where it started, and then obviously plenty of things since then.
Yeah, going to college, kind of going off on our ways. But it's interesting. We kind of, it was better late than never, because like right at the end of high school, we started kind of putting our group together. Because I think I was one of the latest to assimilate to the group.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like I don't know if you were late to assimilate to the group because I feel like you joined the group as the group was forming. Like the group
It was
was
just
not
the group
a thing.
itself was late to assimilate.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Like maybe there's like certain like subgroup like Jason, Harrison, Marcus were really close friends for a while, and then I became closer friends with them, like in high school. But then I think specifically during the pandemic when we would just play Minecraft until 2 a.m. so many nights, and Rob is always friends with Marcus. You've been friends with Marcus for a while.
Yeah.
And you've been friends with these guys too.
Absolutely.
But it didn't really like everyone sort of like came together until like right after graduation, and we hung out a lot that summer.
The great thing is like you guys are the people that whenever I come home for a break, you guys are the people that I see. Like I mean, obviously we've all had other friends in high school, but me personally, you guys are the ones that I'm most consistently seeing when I'm not at school. So it's been nice.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too. Like there's so many people who I hung out with a lot in high school who I just, for plenty of reasons, I just don't see as often. Some of them just like stay away for a while, or like they're not in this friend group, which friend groups, I think friend groups are awesome because they like bring a bunch of people together, but also it's like, you got to make sure that if you have a friend group, you're not afraid to keep reaching out and branching out to other people. That is the one thing I think I've learned in like college relationships and also just here. But yeah, I think that it's cool having this group, and then I don't know, we're always hanging out. It's always like first person home is like, yo, when is everyone else gonna be here?
Exactly. Yeah. Is everybody home now?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we count Marcus because he's never home.
Yeah.
Sorry, Marcus. Sorry for roasting you, and you're not here to defend yourself.
Well, you see, that's his issue. The fact is that he's not here to defend himself.
Womp womp. But yeah, and that's great to note because we're kind of at the point where at least here at our hometown, we can choose our friends. So like we can like the people that we want to see, we see. Our OGs here in the friend group.
Yeah.
And it's fun to like, you're talking about like the different groups formed into our one big group. It's like the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like a crossover movies, and they all come together.
Yeah, we certainly assembled.
We did assemble.
For that Nerf gun war that one time.
And speaking of the Nerf gun war, fond memory, I'd like to ask you guys about any more fond memories you have from our group.
Beach day. When was that? After freshman year of college, right?
I feel like we do a beach day every summer.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of like that most memorable one. Yeah, that first one, where it was us three, Jason, Harrison, Dom. Dan was there for like a half hour.
Yeah. Was this when we went to Silver Sands?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, that was when Jay had
destroyed his toe on a rock.
Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, that was a lot of fun.
That was so. I remember we played the game. Where was it? You throw like the ball in the air.
Oh.
And you go.
You played Jackpot.
Jackpot.
Yeah. We played that for a very long time.
Not to be confused with Jackbox.
Yeah, not Jackbox. Jackbox is fun. I wish I owned that game.
Kind of hard to do at the beach though.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I'm thinking of like other things. What I think is really funny is one of the first sort of things we did with that whole like group in that group chat is we watched the Loki series together.
Yeah.
And we watched most of the episodes together. Like when they came out, like that day or the next day, we would, get together and then watch the episode. And for the longest time, our group chat name was, "Is the Loki Gator actually a Loki?" And that was you who made that.
Yeah. And we still have, that's still the
it's still a question.
The photo, yeah.
Yep. So I feel like we've also just like kind of just gotten together and just like watched things. We've like gotten together and we've watched sports.
Watched Kenobi.
We did watch Kenobi.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So TV shows and sports and
movies too.
Yeah. So I feel like it's always nice just to like hang out and small. I feel like this group is a very like just homey hangout group. Like we're not super like going out crazy places and doing crazy things. Though I do think we should do a trip at some point. Yes. But I think that it's nice that we just like kind of get together. We just like chill. We play games. We watch movies. We chat, and like that's all we need. So I appreciate that about this group a lot.
Yeah, and hit the hot spots like on Washington Ave or
Oh,
on,
Yeah.
by the
Athena
movie
Diner.
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Athena Diner.
That is like if we were a sitcom, that is our like restaurant that we hang out in.
Yeah.
Like that's our central perk.
Exactly.
Is the Athena Diner.
Next time we're there, we got to leave a whole half the table open for the camera.
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah. Expect them to show up and start like
Yeah.
filming us, whatever, like
Do
random.
the
shenanigans.
Zicast from Athena
Yeah,
Diner.
the Zicast from Athena Diner. That's the next expansion.
Yeah.
We got sponsorships.
You'll get the static of the people in the background, the
Yeah.
waiters or waitresses bringing out stuff. It'll make a nice ambiance.
It would make a nice ambiance. That would. I mean, you're speaking of trips. I know you weren't able to go, Rob, but when we went to New York
Yeah.
with Jason, Harrison, Dom, Marcus,
Yeah.
that was another fun one.
that was a highlight. Yeah, I was actually just talking to Harrison about that the other day, and we should go this summer at some point. Because the one thing about that trip is we went during the winter, and
Tough
it's,
weather. Yeah.
Well, the weather, okay, weather's one thing, but the number of people who were there, because like New York around the holiday season, because we went like between Christmas and New Year's, so it's just insane. There was just too many people. So like we were trying to find a restaurant for the longest time, and we couldn't, just because like everywhere was just booked because there's just too many people, and like trying to get in line to like get places. So we went to the Top of the Rock, which was awesome, but I bet the line would not have been as long if it wasn't for that time of year and there's just so many people in the city. So if we go over the summer, maybe there'll be less people, so we'd be able to do more things, and then Rob would actually be able to come.
Yeah.
Marcus would not be able to come, but
He'll come back for that one trip.
Yeah,
We'll
I mean
make him.
it's kind of halfway, not quite halfway, probably closer to us than it is to him, but
It's closer than Connecticut is for him
yeah.
from Lehigh.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, that was definitely a highlight. We should definitely do that again.
Yeah. And this
Absolutely.
wasn't as far of a trip, but for New Year's, Pat, you and we went to Rob's house.
Yeah.
And, yeah, maybe we could talk a bit about that and that whole little weekend there.
Yeah. So for Sacred Heart has a lot of dorms for the freshmen. Well, mainly just freshmen. Like to cater to the freshmen, get them in, have them a nice dorm, and then they start to phase freshmen out. You got some pretty nice dorms for sophomores, and then there's only a handful of dorms for juniors and seniors. So pretty much everybody goes off campus into a house for junior and senior year, and it's been great. Like definitely saving money doing that. You get to make your own food, which is good and bad. Making my own food, I know that it's not going to be raw or diseased or something along those lines. But yeah, it's been great living off campus. And perks of living off campus, you don't have to completely move out during the winter or the summer, and you can come back during winter or the summer to just hang out, which is what we did for New Year's. Me and my roommates, we were there for New Year's, and Pat and Ryan were there for New Year's too, and it was a good time. We got there sometime in the early evening, right?
Yeah, I mean, you drove me up earlier in the day, and then Pat met us kind of midway through the day.
Yeah, we had a nice pasta dinner, simple college food. But yeah, we had a good time. At the time, my house was 4 people, and 2 of them were there, Andrew and Drew. And
which is kind of hilarious.
yeah,
Andrew,
yeah,
Andrew.
yeah. Andrew was my roommate freshman year, and I met him. He introduced himself as Drew, and then I met Drew like a day later, and his legal name is Drew. So Andrew was back to being Andrew, and yeah, it's kind of funny because whenever I meet somebody and I start talking about Drew and Andrew, they get really confused, thinking that they're the same person. They eventually meet them and realize, different people. But yeah, they were both up actually in the house. Well, right now it's a house of 5 because we added someone to the lease to, make things a little less expensive. Right now it's a house of 5 with 3 guys and 2 girls. At the time it was only 1 girl, and she wasn't able to come down for New Year's because I think she was sick. But we had a couple people over, not really too big, maybe like 10 people, not even. But it was a lot of fun. Pong. I think we had a fire outside.
I think there was a fire, but I don't remember like going out for it.
Me as well. I don't think.
I'm pretty sure either Drew or Andrew, one of them started it.
Yeah.
And then I honestly don't know where I was because I don't remember like going out to the fire, but I'm pretty sure there was one.
I guess we only had it burning for a little bit, but yeah, we had a good time. Lots of Pong to be. Well, we had Mario Kart at the house. I don't remember if we ended up
We
playing
did play
that.
We
Mario
played
Yeah.
it right after New Year's.
Yeah.
Where I
that's
remember I was about to win, and then Pat threw a banana at me in the
Yeah.
game, and I lost.
Right. Oh, you threw a banana at you in real life. Screwed 'em up.
Yeah, actually, yeah. It's a brutal.
I was a little salty. I might admit.
But no, that was a good time. Seeing the ball drop. It was a lot of fun. We're gonna do the same thing next year. Jay, you better be there.
Yeah. it was peak. Yeah, we hit up like a kind of like a froyo-ish place.
Yes.
For ice.
Place called 16 Handles. Yeah, that's one of our go-tos around Fairfield, Bridgeport area. Since Fairfield is technically since Sacred Heart is technically in Fairfield, right across the street is Bridgeport, and I technically live in Bridgeport. But yeah, we tend to spend a lot of time in the Fairfield area finding places to eat around there. But we do have our good spots. I'm actually kind of surprised that so not even 5 minutes from my house, there's another ice cream place. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't hit that place up. But maybe, well, what I want to do something else like that over the summer, where we'll have like a 4th of July type thing with all the guys from home. Yeah. Do something like that, and should be a good time. Take you on the tour of Fairfield, Bridgeport, Trumbull, surrounding area.
I'm so down for a 4th of July party.
That would be
Yeah.
fun.
I
Wish
want.
I could be there.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
you'll be having a great time living it out in California.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully.
Wait, one thing I think is really interesting. You have like, Rob's house is very nice. Like it's for especially for like a college kid's house. Like it is nice. Like the bar downstairs.
Yeah, we lucked out. We originally signed a lease for another house, and we actually started to like move in. Like we got the keys for this other house, and this other house was awful. Like the rooms were tiny. There was like, I don't have anything against carpeted floors, but there was carpeting in the bedrooms, and it was disgusting. There was electrical issues. There was mold. Bathroom hadn't been cleaned in years, and it was just awful. So we started to move in, and we realized how bad it was. Got everything like tested. We found the electrical issues, found the black mold, and got our security deposit back. So we got out of that place, and we just got really lucky in finding this other house, because I think he was doing some sort of a renovation to it, and our landlord didn't have any renters, so it was on the market in maybe July or August. So we signed in maybe early August and moved in mid-August, and yeah, we got very lucky with it, and I'm very happy with it. We got a whole lot of outdoor lights in the backyard. We got a fire pit. Yeah, we got a bar downstairs, like a clean bar, like not a frat house type of vibe, but
Oh, it's nice.
classy. Yeah.
You got
It was
like
very classy.
the black and white tiles. It gives
Yeah.
like 50s, 60s diner vibes a little bit.
When I first saw it, I wasn't sure how much I'd like it, but it's really grown on me. Yeah.
With the pictures on the wall too that you took of us.
Yeah, I got the Wall of Fame going
Wall of
on.
Fame,
Yeah.
Yes. I feel honored to be there on the Wall of Fame.
The Rob Farrelly Hall of
The
Fame.
Rob Farrelly
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
We're trying to fill that entire wall down, and I think that we've gotten maybe 50 or so pictures there. So just got to keep on filling it out.
The grind.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you have any other like fun memories like with your roommates or on campus?
Oh, there's a lot. There's just so much. How do I put it? Like shenanigans with the roommates.
Pleasant way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. A little PG way to put it.
Yeah.
I actually started like a notes, a list of just everything that happens, like everything big that happens on the weekends, because there's just been so much that's gone on that it's just been hard to keep track of it all. But most recent, so the Sacred Heart's graduation was not yesterday, but a week ago Saturday, and our finals ended a week before that. But since we still had the lease for the house, me and my roommates were just hanging around, not really doing a whole lot. And the seniors, they have a whole bunch of events they can go to. And on Wednesday, there was a trip down to Mohegan Sun. And everybody, all the seniors, like they get on the buses, they get all like fancy, like suit and ties, like fancy dresses. They go down Mohegan, and me, Drew, and Andrew, we were like, all right, we're not really doing anything tonight. seniors going to Mohegan. Why don't we just show up? So we show up looking pretty informal. Like I had, well, not a pair of sweats, but like something comfortable on, like a t-shirt. We go in there. It's really funny to see like some of the seniors I know. I wave to them. Then they do a double take. Like, what are you doing here? Also made $50 off of the slots, which was, never going to happen again. But no, it was a good time.
More next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But just random spontaneous stuff like that is kind of what we do.
Crashing the party.
Yeah.
I think Quinnipiac students were doing that too, going up to Mohegan.
Ooh, all right.
For a late one. So yeah, that was a nice big party up there. And I'm sure any Quinnipiac juniors who are listening are probably very jealous that you get to live off campus, because that's not allowed here. Yeah.
At all?
Juniors cannot live off campus. You have to be up at York.
Well, York's not bad either, right?
I mean, I really like it, but I know a lot of juniors would rather be up off campus, but you could be like, haha.
It's well, I don't want to say love hate, but there are things that I absolutely love about it and things that I'd kind of rather like wait another year for. Like if we had more dorms, nicer dorms for the juniors at Sacred Heart, I think I would have liked to live on campus again junior year and then go off senior year, because it's just so much easier to meet people when you're on campus. Also, a lot easier to get food. But it's been really great living off campus. Yeah, like having a car this year round, that's been great. Making my own food, yeah. Having my own room, that's another big thing. Yeah, don't got to worry about sharing a room. My direct roommate for freshman and sophomore year, Andrew, he's been great. But not gonna lie, I definitely prefer having a room to myself.
Yeah, and I'm sure it teaches you a lot too, getting to live off campus in terms of being, I know you're obviously with other people, but independence as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been definitely, well, I don't want to say a shock, but it's definitely been different. Paying bills too. A little taste of the adult life.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's been pretty great being off campus, so I'm very happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to get a taste of that too in my Los Angeles trip, because I have same thing with food. I'm going to have to making it for myself. It's going to be a big shock, but of course, very, very excited. So now I kind of like to flip this question on you, Pat, to ask about the friends you've made at school and any stories at Brown.
Yeah. I mean, I got lucky when I came in as a freshman. I met a lot of people who I'm still friends with to this day. So my freshman year friend group has since sort of dissolved. If anyone is someone if one of the listeners out there is going off to college soon, word of advice is don't date within your friend group. It never ends well. It was not me who was dating, but like some of my other friends were dating, and then they broke up, and super awkward. Yeah. So luckily I'm still friends with everyone from that original group individually. Though some of them don't talk to each other, so that's a little bit awkward, and it's unfortunate because I really like hanging out with all of those people, but I can't have a group together because it'll just be super awkward. But then the end of my freshman year, I ended up meeting a couple of other people who would later become some of my best friends on campus. I met them in the context of one of my friends was like, hey, do you want to join this flag football team that one of my friends is on, and just for fun, so intramural flag football. And I met a bunch of them, didn't really talk a whole lot with them. But then for, I guess, a very nice twist of fate, I ended up living in the same dorm as them the next year, which was funny because that dorm is, universally hated for almost no reason. The only things that's bad about it is it's really far. It's the farthest dorm from campus, so you have to walk. And it's just like a regular dorm, so you're not even, given a nicer dorm because you're so far away. But it was fine. I had a lot of good memories in there because I ended up meeting a lot of people who I ended up becoming really close friends with there. But anyway, so then some of my friends from my original freshman friend group, so I was still friends with them. They were sort of a little tiny friend group. And then I started becoming closer friends with some of the people who I had played flag football with. I just ended up talking with them because they lived the floor above me. And I started seeing them around in a whole bunch of different contexts. I ended up playing basketball a lot with them. And I was like, you know what? I want to see what happens and do a friend group merger and invite those friends from flag football And then my friends from my original freshman friend group, put them together in a room and see what happens. And like pretty immediately, everyone started to click. And that group has still been like a friend group since, which is super cool. So I mentioned earlier how I think it's good to have like a friend group who you can rely on. Because it's awesome to have all those people, but also to still have connections elsewhere. So like I'm still friends with all of the other friends from my original freshman year friend group, and I have other friends around campus, and it's cool to like meet new people, and then keep contact with those people who you were friends with and who may not be in like your immediate friend group. I think that's been like a super good experience for me, is having like people all around who I can talk to and get along really well with. And I don't know. I think it's just interesting how the things sort of change over time. I'm sure this story is not unique to me. Everyone has had like the freshman year friend group drama, and like they formed new groups after. But I love my friends at school. I really appreciate them a lot.
You are the friend group master. You have the art.
I guess. I don't know. What's funny about that is for a long time, specifically like middle school and high school, I was like really, really afraid of like reaching out to people. It was kind of a problem. I honestly have no idea why. And looking back on it, like I fully could have asked more people to like hang out, and I don't know why. I was just like scared to do it. Maybe it was a fear of rejection, but I don't even remember being like that stressed or anxious about it. I just like didn't want to. So I was a weird child. But then, the end of high school rolls around, and I realized like, okay, I have all of these friends, and I don't hang out with them like a whole ton. And some of them know each other, some of them don't. Let's just see what happens when I put them together. And that sort of like was kind of a leap of faith for me, because I didn't know what was going to happen. But I was like, I need to stop caring about this. I need to like make sure that I'm still in contact with these people, and I think it'd be really fun. And let's just go for it. And it ended up working out amazingly well. Obviously, because we're still here to this day.
Therefore, that's what it resulted in.
Yeah.
Yes. Legendary.
So, and then when I got to college, like I ended up, so one of my best friends from school, I was roommates with him freshman year. And he and I get along so well. We've been roommates since then. And then I met another one of my friends through him, because he knew him from like back home. They live like a couple towns over from each other. And sort of like pieced together the friend group from there. So that one sort of just like came together. I wasn't really like making that friend group, but then with like the friend group that I'm a part of now, it was sort of me like merging two friend groups. Because again, I was like, you know what, this worked in high school. Let's see what happens here. Just put these people together and see what happens. And again, it worked really well. So I think that's another thing that I've learned from that experience, and that I think is important, is even if you don't think like people know each other, just put people in a room together and see what happens. Like the worst thing that could possibly happen is that people just don't, get along super well. They just, kind of don't know what to talk about, and then they don't hang out in any other context, and that's like totally fine. But you also have the opportunity for people to make new friends, and it's super cool to say that like you were the person who introduced them to each other. So I don't know. That's something that I'm.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I'm a friend group matchmaker, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that I'm gonna carry with me throughout my entire life. Like when I keep making friends elsewhere, like when I have a job someday and I meet people at the office or whatever.
No,
yeah.
I feel that. All right, maybe not as well as you did it, but so yeah, with the off-campus house, we've had a couple of parties. Like for St. Patrick's Day was our really first big one, and that was just kind of me going through my contacts and texting anybody that I was friends with at school, and I'm like, all right, this is a whole bunch of random people that, I mean, not random people, but a lot of people that weren't exactly familiar with each other. So I have like the friend group, the main friend group that I hang out with, and then like a couple other people that I know hang out with like separately, some people that I know from classes. I'm like, you know what, screw it, put it all together, see what happens. And yeah, it worked. It was really interesting and fun to see. It was so yeah, St. Patrick's Day, I was kind of running all over the place. I was tending to the fire outside. I was doing a little bartending downstairs, entertaining people as they came in, and it was a lot of fun to see all the different people come together. It was neat. But yeah, the friend group maker here.
I think you're selling yourself a little bit short with that, because that is something that you are very good at. Like,
well,
also you were. I mean, Ryan and I have never met any of your friends from school, and you're just like, you guys come New Year's, see how it goes. And it was a super fun time. So that is something that you are very good at.
Why, thank you.
It makes sense because you're the same person.
Oh yeah,
we're just the same person. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
For some context for that.
Yeah. Okay. So
no, there is no context. We're just the same person.
we should explain. So this has been a running gag since
5
sophomore
years now.
year.
Yeah.
Sophomore year of high school. And it's funny that Ryan was bringing this up because literally right before we were recording, Rob and I were talking about like how do we bring up the fact that we're the same person. So in our sophomore year Spanish class, we were working on a project where we had to it was a partner project, and we had to talk about things that we were going to be doing in the future.
No, this wasn't even partner project. It was an individual project. It goes, what are things that you want to do in the future? Just completely separate. And
we were putting, okay, yeah. you keep going.
Yeah, and so one of our friends in another class, Tiernan, he said that he wanted to be president. And so somebody thought it was a great idea, like, oh, I'm going to be friends with President Tiernan in the future. So we're like, all right, yeah, that'll be fun. We'll add that as one of our things because we had to have like maybe 10 things that we were going to do in the future. Then Pat and I are like, you know what? I'm going to invent jetpack basketball. So I write, I'm going to invent jetpack basketball with Pat. Pat writes, I'm going to invent jetpack basketball with Rob. And the professor, Senora, or teacher, high school, the teacher, Senora Arvulu, she goes to us, she goes, you can't write the same thing. You're not the same person. And since then, we've been the same person.
We turned to each other in that moment. We're like, then turned back to her like, yes, we are. And the rest of the year, like we would continuously bring that up. I'm really curious if she remembers. I bet she does.
I think she would. Does she still teach at North Haven?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, all right.
I think someone told me that Connor told me that one of his friends has her as a teacher.
Yes,
we'll have brother, by the way. Shout out to him. He just celebrated his birthday yesterday.
Happy birthday, Connor.
Shout out.
We'll have to swing by the high school and say like, hey, same person, what's up?
Literally me. That's funny because here there's a group of guys in the comedy club, Jeff Fish and Anthony Icardi, that claim to be literally me.
Yep.
That we all say we're the same person because we're blonde.
Nice.
Even though we don't really look like each other. So when we first started that, I was thinking of what you and Rob have. You're literally me.
I mean, what's funny about Rob and I is we have other similarities too. Like we're both Irish and Italian.
Yep.
So we have that in common. I feel like if I let my hair grow as long as yours, it'd probably get somewhat
you got
curly.
the waves, right?
Yeah.
The only thing is I don't have blue eyes, but other than that, we're the same person.
We're the same person.
Yeah, we've got a decent brain on us. We're smartish people.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of athletics going on.
Yeah. We're the same person.
Wow. Exactly. I should have just got one chair for this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, honestly.
Merging. So kind of moving onwards, I'd like to ask you guys about some internships you've worked and what those have taught you, or internships or jobs.
You want to go first?
Sure. So I guess the whole list. So I guess I started off because I had no idea what I wanted to do in college at all. I knew some things that I was interested in. Like I knew that I liked education. I mean, my parents are both teachers, so I've grown up in that family. So I knew that was something that's like interesting to me. I knew I liked psychology from taking AP Psych in high school. I've always been more of like a humanities person than a STEM person. Like I always really liked my English classes and my history classes. Though I did find like senior year, I really liked AP Calculus, and I was like, oh, so maybe I do need to keep doing some math, which I've tried to continue with, doing like a little bit of math here and there in college, even though my majors are like more social science related, humanities related. So my first couple jobs were just like working at summer camps, super fun, great first job experience. But then I started to like try different things. So I mentioned this earlier, but I got registered to be a substitute teacher at school in Woodbridge. That's where my dad works. And while I've been there, I've done every single grade level the school has. So it's a K through 6 school. And I've worked with every single grade level. I've been in some of like the regular classrooms. So I took over 4th grade for a couple days. I did all of the specials classes, I think. So the specials classes being the Spanish class, health class, PE, art. I did all of those. Actually, I didn't do music. Music's still on my bucket list. At some point, I something
That's
for music
surprising.
You could teach jazz. Yeah,
I could teach these kids jazz. I think that'd be super fun. But I mean, being a substitute teacher, it's it was a really good experience, and I'm hoping that I'll have a chance to go back at some point because I really liked it. It is challenging to like go into a classroom with kids that you've never met before, and they're so used to having the same teacher, and breaking consistency. Like they get into such a routine that when you are a break from the routine, they just don't know what to do. So it made me become really good at just like thinking on my feet and trying different strategies to help keep the classroom like contained, like make sure that everyone's like on track and that they're doing the tasks that the teacher assigned them, and B, also just being like a supportive person in the classroom who's going to like encourage them to succeed in whatever assignment that they have to do, without like being overbearing. I think that's something that's like really hard to find, like that balance. And I struggled with that for a while because if you go in, you're like, the kids are, misbehaving like they often do. It's like, it's so hard to keep your cool and like make sure that you're still like getting them to where they're supposed to be and getting their assignments done. But I think that from that experience, I've gotten a lot better at that. So I know that teaching is something that I want to do in the future. I don't know what grade levels. I do like the younger kids, but I also think it'd be awesome to teach like high school classes, maybe someday teaching college classes as a professor. That's something that's definitely like on my radar. So then after that, so I know that like education is something that was interesting to me, but I never really took like psychology classes in college, but I knew that was something that I was interested in. So one of the things that I wanted to do, and this was something that was recommended to me by a mentor at our career center, and he said that like a lot of students, when they think about internships, they try to do something that is something related to what they are currently studying, which makes sense in the vast majority of cases. But he said that also you can use internships as a time to explore something that you've never done before. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So last summer, I ended up working in a child development lab. So that's psychology. The lab is specifically focused on language acquisition. So there's a lot of linguistics focused in that environment. So I got the chance to like learn what it's like to be a psychologist who's doing like research. And I worked on various different research projects. And I ended up like running studies with kids. So what was super cool about that experience was that there was this one study which was like an online game with children. It was looking at their language acquisition of words like and or. So these are things that we understand as adults, but kids at age 3 don't really understand those yet. And we're trying to figure out like when they start to understand that. And I got to see that entire project through pretty much. So I picked it up and I did all of like the pre-testing to like make sure that the model was working, and the game that we were playing to test the kids' understanding of these words, we made sure that was working. And then I ran the entire study over the course of the summer and then into the fall semester. And I've looked at sort of like the data that we collected, not in too much depth because my data analysis skills are not entirely there yet. That's something I'm currently working on, and I will be working on this summer. But now that project is like pretty much done, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to like keep working with the postdoc who I've been working with on that project to like write a paper. We'll see how that goes. But that might be something that's coming down the line. But this summer, now I want to get back towards things that I know for sure that I'm studying. And that is, of course, education, social analysis, research. And I'm going to be doing an internship with an institute at Brown called Annenberg that does like education policy research, specifically mostly focused on the state of Rhode Island and Providence. And I'm not exactly sure what research project I'll be doing because they won't tell me until I'm actually like paired with a professor. But the first thing that I'll be doing when I start this program is I'll be doing some data analysis skill building. I'm going to be working with like Stata or some computer software that Rob might know more about than I do because he knows some computer stuff.
Something.
But hopefully going to try to build that skill set and then apply it to something that is in my field. So it'll be an education policy research of some kind. And I want to be home this summer, but I applied to things and then didn't get them that were close to home. But I think it's a program that I'm very excited for. And I think I'll learn a lot about that sort of kind of research, since now I've done like the psychology research, but that's something completely different. So now I'm doing something that's more applied to my field. I'm super excited to do that.
Awesome. I mean, if you want to be a teacher, you got the trial by fire, teaching the hardest age group children.
I mean, yeah.
And learning from that.
Well, actually, as someone who's been in like class, I've been in classrooms for pretty much all the grade levels, I think, in one context or another. I think the hardest is middle school because in elementary school, they're still like really sweet kids. And like, yes, they have a lot of energy, but they are genuinely excited to learn and they are happy to be there for the most part. And it's just really fun to work with them. Middle school is when you start to get, the teenage angst and
hormones.
Yeah. So that's the time where it gets a little bit more challenging because those kids, their bodies are changing, the hormones are changing, and they just sometimes just don't want to be there at all. So that's a very hard grade to teach. Like at least like fourth graders, I love fourth grade. I think fourth grade's awesome because they like haven't developed the like, oh, I'm so cool, oh, I'm gonna do whatever I want. They're like still like super excited. So I like the elementary school ages, but yeah, it is challenging. It was definitely trial by fire. That is a good way to describe it.
Yeah. And now, Rob, I'd like to turn it on to you because I know you have some interesting stuff.
All right, yeah. Let's see. I for jobs, I kind of worked anywhere to get some money. First, I worked at a place called The Only Game in Town, which was a mix of everything.
There.
Yeah, that was only for one summer though. That was with a go-kart, mini golf, driving range, an arcade, and they hired me. And they're like, "All right, this is great. We'll give you all the training and everything. Oh, by the way, we're shutting down at the end of the summer." I'm like, "Oh, shutting down for the fall?" They go, "No, we're going out of business." I'm like, "You're paying me though, right?" And yeah, I got paid, but I also didn't have a place to work the next summer. So after that, because that was the summer after freshman year of college. Yeah, everything before that during high school was just like doing odd jobs here and there. But so yeah, I needed some place for summer of after sophomore year of college, and that I got really lucky with because I went to Thanksgiving at my cousin's on Cape Cod, and they had some of like their family friends over, and I was talking to one of these guys, and he was telling me about his company. He goes like, "Oh yeah, we're always looking for engineering students." I'm like, that's me. I'm electrical engineering. Yeah, you want to give me a job? He goes like, "Yeah, sure. Just like here's my email. Just email me when the semester starts up, and we'll get in contact, get you somewhere to work." It was really eye-opening the amount of what connections can do for you. I mean, having a great resume and all the skills are what you really need to begin with, but connections are very helpful too. So summer after sophomore year, I lived on the Cape and I worked at a place called Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, which is ocean research. But they also have a lot of engineering program type things. Like they were the company or they were the institution that sent a submarine down to find the Titanic. They found the Titanic. They had the remote, trying to remember what it was called, but the remote submarine called Alvin that went down to, and it found the Titanic, scoped it out, and all that fun stuff. But so yeah, they have a lot of cool engineering stuff going on there. Over the summer, I was working with a couple of British engineers, from England. Yeah, they there was a ship that sailed over from England to the U.S. across the Atlantic, and it was a fully automated ship. So there was nobody on board. It wasn't even remote controlled. It was completely autonomous. It came over, and then it took on a bit of water when it got to the U.S., and there were quite a bit of electrical circuits fried. So they took it out of the water, and it was sitting out of the water for maybe a year and a half. So that was part of my summer project to help these guys get it going again. And by the end of the summer, it did get back in the water and was moving again. But yeah, over that summer, I was pretty close to Pat at Brown. So there was one weekend where I took it was only like an hour drive from Cape Cod to Rhode Island and Brown, and I got to see Brown firsthand, and it was pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, yeah. But
I've heard.
yeah. Then next summer, well, when I left at the end of, well, around mid-August, yeah, when I left Woods Hole, my supervisor was like, "Oh, just let me know if you want another job next year." I'm like, "All right, thanks, but I'll keep that in mind, but I don't really know if I want to live on the Cape again." Because, I mean, yeah, from North Haven, Connecticut, I want to be a little bit closer or somewhere in the summer. But if I didn't find anywhere else, then I totally would have reached out. But yeah, I definitely want to be home again for the summer since I've had so little time home. But I found this place in New Haven, software company, Viochi, and knock on wood, they're sending me the offer letter on Monday. I mean, I've reached out to the recruiter a couple of times, and she did tell me that they're sending out the letter on Monday. But, don't want to jinx anything. So I will be close to home for the summer, which will be nice. And, yeah, it's been a while since I've been home for a while. Because, yeah, at the end of last year, school, came back home. I was home for maybe 2 days. And then I had signed up for a study abroad program in Ireland. So 2 days at home, zipped off to Ireland for a couple weeks, back home for maybe a week, and then shipped up to the Cape for the summer. And from the Cape, back home to Connecticut for a week, and then off to school. So it'll be nice to spend some quality time at home. That'll be fun.
And forgive me for not putting this on the sheet, but I forgot you went to Ireland.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, do you mind telling us a bit about that?
Yeah, of course. That was, my first time being abroad, so it was really eye-opening to see how different it is there. First of all, they drive on the left side of the road, which is, something to keep in mind when you're crossing the street. Yeah, the culture there is just, it's different and similar in so many ways, but there's so many differences. For one thing, in Europe, they don't have, ice water. You just have water, like nothing. Like in the U.S., you'll get a glass that's filled to brim with ice, and, maybe a quarter of the glass is actually water. There, it's just all water. Also, tip is built into the bill, so you don't have to tip, which is kind of nice. And, yeah, Ireland specifically, the pubs. The pubs were awesome. I loved that so much. It was really a great experience. Meeting locals too. I didn't meet anybody that had the thick Irish accent where you couldn't understand them. But yeah, it was just so much fun being abroad. And I don't know if I want to go back to the same area in Ireland. I want to explore other places, but if I had the chance to go back, I 100% would. It was just a great experience.
That's great to hear. I know you should always try to take advantage of those kinds of opportunities when they come your way.
Absolutely,
It's great to hear about Ireland.
Like going to LA.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, it's interesting hearing about people who've spent some times in different countries, the different little cultural differences. I've even heard about LA has differences from here. Just that I'm gonna pick up on once I get there. So all very exciting stuff. So Pat, you brought up your brother Connor, which is kind of perfect because I'd like to ask you kind of what being an older brother to the two likewise in age siblings has taught you.
Ooh, that's a good question. I personally, I don't know if I would have enjoyed my childhood as much as I did if I didn't have two siblings who are close in age. So I mentioned Connor, my other brother Kevin. Kevin is actually tonight going to Spain. He's doing one of those study abroad programs. So
Good
he's
for
super
him.
excited about
Wow.
that. But we're really close in age. We were all in high school for 1 year together at the same time. When I was a senior, Kevin was a junior, Connor was a freshman. So we're all going to be in college at the same time. Hopefully try to meet up since all of our schools are pretty close to each other. I think that they're within an hour drive, I want to say. The only one I don't know is Connor. He might be slightly farther, but not too far. But I think I've really appreciated growing up with siblings because I kind of mentioned earlier I was sometimes weird about reaching out to friends, but maybe part of that was because I was always happy to hang out with my siblings at home. And I remember being really little, and every morning we would wake up and converge in someone's room, and we would just play with whatever toys, whether that was our Legos or our Star Wars action figures or whatever. And then as we got older, we would play sports together. So we played so much 21, the basketball game, at the gym when we would go, or out in our driveway. And it's still super fun to play games and play sports with them to this day. And I guess what have I learned from it? I've learned that is something that I value, is having siblings who I can get along with and am close with. And it's something in the future, like when I start a family, like I want my kids to have siblings. Like I don't want to just have like one kid because I loved that experience growing up, and that's something I would like my kids to have someday.
Rob smiling, an only child.
Yeah, you're saying all these things and I can't exactly relate. Like, oh yeah, having brothers is great. I mean, like I had friends that were brothers to me, but yeah, it's nice hearing about it. Keep going.
Yeah,
That's it. Some would say you're their brother's keeper.
Check out Brother's Keeper by Ryan Ziaks, which also I have read, and I recommend. I think you should go read it. To all you people out there who are listening, who are Zicast fans, you should also be a Brother's Keeper fan.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I just had to. I thought of it on the spot, and I just had to. But that is great to know. I mean, I of course had a brother who I had on here, and I know how you basically just have a friend at your home.
Yeah.
A built-in friend.
Yeah.
So
built-in friend is always there.
So that is great. That is great to shout out. And of course, you guys are all fans of the Celtics.
Ooh.
So I'd like to ask you about your thoughts on their playoff run and any fun Celtics memories.
Ooh. Okay. I'll start with the Celtics memories part. So for some reason, I don't know why, I did not like basketball at all when I was younger, and it wasn't until middle school when I started to like basketball more. I think just because I was not coordinated at all when I was younger, and I was like, I hate this sport. But then I started paying attention to basketball more just because I guess I started playing the 2K games or whatever. And I really started. So my dad's a Celtics fan, so I would always say I'm a Celtics fan, but I didn't really follow the team. I started following the team a lot when Isaiah Thomas was playing, which I feel like for a lot of younger fans, that's when they started watching the Celtics because Isaiah Thomas was just so fun to watch, and he was just so good. We did him so dirty, and I feel so bad. But since then I follow the team, and I now follow basketball at large, and these playoffs have been fun. I'm so excited to, after this podcast, go watch 2 Game 7s today. So Knicks Pacers and Nuggets Timberwolves. This should be fun. But yeah, the Celtics run so far. I mean, we lost 2 games in embarrassing fashion. This happens every year. I am not going to overreact to it. I still think that we are going to go to the finals. I have absolutely no doubt about that because the Knicks are super injured. The Pacers are super young. There's no way we don't, beat them in 4 or 5 games. Knicks maybe 5 or 6 if they get healthy. I heard OJ Anunoby might be coming back, and if he's healthy, then maybe they push us because for some reason the Celtics just can never play well against the Knicks. I don't know why. The Knicks are a great basketball team. I really like their roster a lot. Shout out to the Knicks. But I don't know. I mean, Denver's always Denver. If Denver, I foresee that Denver will bounce back, and I think they'll beat Minnesota tonight. My early prediction. And then if they win this series, I think they're going to go to the finals. That'll be a tough team to beat. I think the Celtics can beat them, especially since they've looked so vulnerable against the Timberwolves, who are a young team that doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. But as an unbiased fan, just as a fan of the sport, I think the Nuggets and Celtics series would go to 7. I think it would be an absolute battle, and I could really see either team taking it. As a Celtics fan, it better be the Celtics. Please do not break my heart again. But yeah, I don't know. I think I love the team this year. I love Derek White. He's my favorite player. I want to play basketball like him because he just does all the little things for the team to win. And then I'm hoping that Porzingis gets healthy. He's been great all year. And then, of course, the Jays are awesome. But everyone knows the Jays. Got to shout out the other guys. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm nervous and excited. Should be fun. I'm looking forward, regardless of the outcome. I am looking forward to watching some good basketball.
Yep. And you know how I feel about Derek White.
Oh yeah.
But I'm excited for the Celtics. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
With a lot of their past, but they do have, in my opinion, the most talented team, and I do agree. I really think they're gonna make the finals. A team like Denver scares me because of what they do in the clutch and a lot of the Celtics' clutch struggles, or a lack of clutch experience. They've had 1 clutch playoff game the entire run so far, so that kind of scares me. But I do really think they stack up well against just about everyone.
Yeah.
With the talent they have on the wings, with their experience. So it's kind of just a wait and see that I would be jumping up and down in LA if I could see the Celtics win
Yeah.
the finals, which is ironic because it's where the Lakers are.
They've been eliminated a while ago, so it's fine.
Yeah, they won with LeBron. We can get one
Yeah.
with Big Deuce.
Big Deuce.
So now,
I
guys.
fully agree with everything you guys said.
Thank you, Rob.
I'm not really one for basketball, so well, I mean, playing basketball, yeah.
Rec basketball.
Rec basketball, exactly. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
it.
Back here in North Haven, the OG days.
Oh, that was so much fun.
It was. So kind of
Competitive.
moving onwards, guys. What are some things that people may not know about either of you?
Oh, I always freeze whenever somebody asks me this. I guess fun fact, Sacred Heart has a club rock climbing team. I'm part of that. I love rock climbing. It is a great full body workout, and yeah, that's my fun fact. If I can think of another, I'll say another.
I want to build off of that for a second because you mentioned rec basketball in high school. The other thing that's super cool that we did in high school was we had this class you could take sophomore year. Instead of regular PE, you could take Project Adventure, which was like a bunch of different climbs and other activities outside. Awesome class. I cannot
So
believe
much
that.
fun.
I cannot believe that our high school had that. It was sweet. But Rob is like one of the goats of Project Adventure. Like there was this one rock wall in our gym that very few people have ever gotten to the top of, and Rob was one of those very few people.
It was not easy, and it took me a lot of tries. Most every time that because that was the indoor section of Project Adventure. Yeah, most every day for the indoor climbs, I was working on that rock wall. I eventually got it, and it was so satisfying when I did. But yeah, that was rough.
But he built his skills, and now he's bringing it to the collegiate level.
Yeah,
Triumph. Yeah.
yeah. I forgot how much
D1
fun.
rock
Yeah. I forgot how much fun Project Adventure was. That was a blast.
Yeah, that was probably the coolest thing that we did in high school.
Yeah. And it wasn't just like one little thing outside. It was a whole bunch of courses outside.
Right, and it's just like so unique. I think I've heard about similar programs at other schools.
But they're just so much smaller. Like they only have a couple of things outdoors. Like they'll do it for maybe half of a semester.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And sometimes the schools that have them are like big private schools that have a lot of resources to do something like that.
North Haven Public High
North Haven
School.
Public School. Let's go.
Shout out North Haven.
Yeah, shout out. Pretty cool program.
Absolutely.
Yeah, do you guys have any other things like that? Like any other like hobbies or interests that people might not know?
Oh, I was gonna for my fun fact. My usual go-to one is that when I was younger, I used to be like an avid I was a dinosaur kid. I knew like every dinosaur, but I was also just like a fossil kid in general. Like I knew a whole bunch of like other like ancient like animals, plants, and things. And there was this one place where my family would go every Mother's Day up in the Catskill Mountains, and the Catskill Mountains, like 400 million years ago, were covered with water. It was an ocean. And there are a lot of fossils up there. And every year we went, I would try to find fossils in the creeks that were, the creeks and the rivers in the woods. And the first year, I think I was like 7, and I was just like, fossils were not on my mind. But I found a rock, and I was like, this is a fossil. There's a lot of things in here. And I ended up taking it to Yale's Peabody Museum and like met with the paleontologists there. And they're like, yeah, those are brachiopods. They're 400 million years old. And I was like, my mind was blown. I actually wrote my college essay about this. But that like sort of ignited that love of like being outdoors and like looking for things in the woods. So every single year after that, I would go back and I would find dozens more fossils because I kind of knew what to look for, and there were just so many of them. And I think that's like something that's carried with me to this day. Is like whenever I'm like out in the woods and like walking around or like going on a hike, I'll always be kind of looking down to try to see if I can like find anything in the dirt. So maybe and someday one of my bucket list items someday is to actually go on like a real fossil hunt, like maybe in Montana or Colorado or some other place where there's like a lot of fossils. I think that'd be a super fun thing. But that's always my go-to fun fact.
Wow.
is, fossil hunting.
A dinosaur kid's dream.
Yeah. I haven't found a dinosaur yet. Still waiting on that one. But found some cool little. They're basically clams. It's just like sea life.
Yeah.
So.
Indiana Jones over here finding like the rock fossils. So moving onwards, you talked about a goal of yours. I'd like to ask you guys your hopes and dreams, whether it be professionally or in general.
Professionally, just find a job somewhere in my field, but very specific personal dream, own a kayak. That is my personal dream. I've always, like, if I ever go kayaking, it's like on a family, friends, or like my aunt's kayak, and I just love it so much. It's like, I guess that could be another fun fact for me, but yeah, someday I will own a kayak and live close enough to a lake, river, ocean, something to kayak on the daily. That is my dream.
You want to take me with you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
We're the same person. So.
Yeah. We can own a house together on a lake and kayak every day. No, that's sick. I kind of like this like fun dreams idea. I mean, the easiest one for me is traveling. I really have not been that many places. I was outside of the U.S. for a whole 4 hours when I went to Canada over the summer. We went to Niagara Falls, which super cool. But since not everyone in my family has a passport, only a few of us were able to like walk across the bridge and go hang out in Canada. So we were only there for like 4 hours and then went back. So actually like going abroad, that's a big thing on my bucket list. And then as far as like professional dreams, I don't know if I have like a particular professional dream, because I think that I'm a pretty open person who likes to try a lot of different things. So there's a lot of things I know I want to do. Like I know I want to teach at some point in my life. I don't know what grade level, but I know I want to teach. I know I want to do something education research related, maybe something policy related. I don't know. Maybe something like administration, but I'd probably not that. So I foresee myself jumping around a lot in my career, but kind of having that focus on education, because that is the field that I am most interested in. So I think that just being open for the ride and being open to trying new things is something that's really important to me.
Being open for the ride on that kayak.
Yeah, actually, yeah. If I could work simultaneously while kayaking, maybe that would be fun.
Yeah, bring a laptop out with you.
Yeah.
Just doing some work out in the ocean. Yeah, but no, I definitely agree with that. Just being open, trying so many new things, like trying new things within the scope of what I like, but also like branching out, trying different careers that might not be like your first instinct, like something that might not initially click with education, might not initially click with engineering. But just something that really piques my interest and something that I'm going to love doing. So
I don't try using one of those 4 minors.
Yeah. I was trying to find a way to make it fit with criminal justice engineering.
Just like tap into your memory banks like a robot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know what I'll end up doing, but I know that I'm going to do something that I'm going to love, because if I don't love it, I'm not going to be doing it. I'm not going to spend time doing something I'm not into even if it brings me a whole lot of money. That's not what I want to do full time.
Love that.
That's very real.
Try to keep it real.
But let's go on from talking about real. We will talk about something fiction, where I'd like to ask you guys the golden question. What are some of your favorite movies?
Zicast special.
Yes, it is the Zicast special.
I mean, I've always grown up as a fan of Star Wars. I know it's like the basic thing, but whenever someone asks me like what are my favorite movies, I mean that's the first thing that comes to mind, because I mean I know too much Star Wars lore, and recently the thing that has been on my mind a lot, because I keep seeing memes on Instagram, that's just like Lord of the Rings, and I wanted to bring this up here because Ryan and I, was it last summer or the summer before, I can't remember.
I think it was last summer.
Okay. We were like, all right, let's watch Lord of the Rings. And over the course of, maybe we had a couple days in between, but like essentially like 3 days, each day we would watch one of the extended cuts of the Lord of the Rings movies. And it was awesome. And it's that time again where like I'm thinking about Lord of the Rings. I'm like, I want to rewatch all of those movies again. And also, I saw one of the Lord of the Rings movies, the second one, in theaters during the pandemic because our movie theater was replaying a bunch of older movies. And it was one of, if not my favorite movie theater experiences ever, because it was like in the XD theater of the big one. And there's like the scene where the Ents like break the dam and the water comes flowing down. And you can just feel like the theater just shaking, and it's so cool. And then the Battle of Helm's Deep, the theater's like shaking the entire time, and it was awesome. So Lord of the Rings, I'm going to rewatch at some point this summer, I think.
We watched the extended cuts too.
Yeah.
The extended cuts are the only way to do it. You can't watch it without the extended cut. They just add so much to it, even if they add like hour and a half.
Yeah.
I had 4 hours well spent for each
Absolutely.
one. So 12 hours total. Well spent time.
Yeah, and on that same during COVID, I was able to go see The Empire Strikes Back in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw The Dark Knight. I saw Inception. So that was really awesome. I was gonna say awesome time. It was not an awesome time, but it was a cool thing for the movie theater to do, so we could get those kind of theater experiences.
They've still been doing that recently. Like I think it was last year I saw, it might have been Star Wars Episode 3 in theaters. I think I saw that in theaters, and it was
Peak.
I wish I saw that in theaters.
I can't remember if it was Episode 3 or Episode 6. Whatever, it was one of the two. But it was so great to see in theaters, and they've been doing that a lot recently. I think like they put out all of the original Spider-Man movies, like with Tobey Maguire, with Andrew Garfield. Those have been out in theaters, like re-released. So I think it's great that they're doing that again.
So, on that note, Rob, what are some of your favorites?
I think for the best, movie theater experience, the greatest movie theater experience I had was probably Avengers: Infinity War. Might not be my favorite movie of all time, but I think that was the greatest movie theater experience. Because it was just so great to, like, first of all, see it with all you guys. That was a whole lot of fun. And second of all, like, the whole energy of everybody watching it, it was just so tense. And, you know, nobody expects the ending of Infinity War. Spoiler for a movie that's 4 or 5 years old. And nobody expects everybody to die at the end. Like,
It's even older. I think it's 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody expects...
Endgame's 5 years old.
That's terrifying.
That is
weird.
terrifying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I feel old now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but nobody expects the superhero movie for like half of everyone to die at the end. So it was really cool to see that in theaters. But for favorite movies, I gotta go old school. Like all of the older movies are what I love. Like I rewatched Jurassic Park recently, and as I'm watching it, I'm thinking to myself like, the first time this came out in maybe the 80s, maybe I don't know. Whenever it came out, whenever Jurassic Park came out, like I just thinking to myself, this is crazy because it's so revolutionary. Nobody has seen like dinosaurs on a big screen, whereas today it's not in every movie, but it's pretty well done where you have a dinosaur coming out roaring at you, and it's like, all right, cool, dinosaur. I've seen it in 10 other movies, but I'm just thinking back to Jurassic Park, how that was like the first time that people have seen it might not be an accurate representation of dinosaurs, but what people imagine dinosaurs to be. It's just so cool to see that on in theaters live for the first time.
Pat, was it an accurate representation of dinosaurs?
No, because fun fact, dinosaurs were most likely covered with feathers. And birds are actually like in many ways descendants of the dinosaurs. Fun fact. But yeah, so technically you wouldn't have a T-Rex that's just completely reptilian. It would probably also have feathers as well.
So history lesson here on the Zicast.
So even if it wasn't completely accurate, it's still so cool that they had this I don't know if it was the technology to make it, but the film wizardry to create that experience for it, which another reason why I love all the old movies, like the old classic movies. They're classic for a reason. But I just love the older stuff.
Like any others that come to mind?
Indiana Jones. Yeah. Love I think I might have to say the original Raiders is my favorite of the original trilogy, but just those movies are so good. Star Wars too, like the original trilogy is just so good. There's just so much about it. That's great. I'm trying to think of some other ones. But
I think what's fun about, I guess I'm speaking about Star Wars in particular, but what's fun about those movies is it's like you said, that those are things that have been like kind of overdone more recently, and they have like the CGI characters and things. Like you think about the original Star Wars movie, it's like all these different wonky costumes and like crazy characters hanging out in the cantina. It's just so imaginative in a way that I feel like the computer generated characters sort of lose. That is something that I appreciate a lot about older movies.
Yeah. Now, an interesting note about the original Star Wars, something I was thinking about, I saw a question where if you could be cast in any movie in history, what movie would it be? And the first thing my head went to was the original Star Wars, because like, just imagine being on those old sets with George Lucas and Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher back in that time, doing, like you said, like something like people had never really seen before in movies.
No, I agree. That would probably be the first thing that I would say.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I'm thinking of other movies that would be cool to be in. I think Harry Potter would be cool.
Yes. How could I forget about Harry Potter?
Yeah, I'm a fan of Harry Potter. Of course, Lord of the Rings. I feel like I'm just like a big
fantasy nerd.
like series movies that I don't know.
I guess we're the same person.
We are the same person. Yeah.
I mean, it's what we grew up on. Those are awesome movies.
Yeah.
That really shaped kind of culture at the time. So
yeah. I feel like what's different from I don't know, I won't speak for Rob, but speaking for myself, as a Zicast guest, I feel like my knowledge of a lot of movies is not as deep as a lot of other people who have been on this show. I'm trying to put together a list of movies that Ryan has mentioned or that some of my other friends have mentioned that I actually need to go and watch this summer. So I'll accept any recommendations.
I mean, you could skip to the end of episodes and see what my guests have liked. I mean, yeah, they're film students. They live and breathe cinema. But of course, it's like, I mean, like Star Wars, franchise films, they're all great movies, all stuff you could take from. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do the same thing. Yeah, I've there've been a lot of classic movies that people have said that I just hadn't seen. Like someone mentioned, this isn't really a franchise film, but like famous film, White Chicks. White Chicks is so funny.
Classic film.
I call it classic. I think that it's
I was
movie.
Expecting like Casablanca or
something. No,
White Chicks.
No, but like the good movies from like maybe 30 years ago that are, well, I don't even know how old White Chicks is, but like some of the classic movies that I really need to get into. Yeah, I have a list of movies I gotta catch up on. And a lot of the movies I just binged over COVID. Like I think I watched the entire MCU over COVID. And it was also the first time that I watched all of the Star Wars movies, like all in order. Just a lot of some like the big name movies. Again, like Jurassic Park, watched every single one of those movies over COVID. Yeah, COVID was a big movie time for me.
Yeah, for me as well. And Pat, were you asking me for recommendations?
Oh
here
no,
and now?
I mean not necessarily. As if you have one that came to mind. But
really, one that comes to mind. Well, The Place Beyond the Pines is one of my favorite with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
And then Jerry Maguire, I think, is one everyone here would like with Tom Cruise. Fun rom-com about he's a sports agent. So there's a lot of football in it too. It's fun.
That.
So yeah, that's my like. If I could give 2 quick ones, it would be that. But guys, I think we kind of find ourselves near the end here. So do you have any parting words for your appearance here on the Zicast?
You got something, Pat?
I mean, I was just going to say thank you all for listening. It's been a blast chatting it up here. Super cool. And also, congrats to my man Ryan Ziaks for his award-winning podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Award-winning. But yeah, thank you for having us on. It's been great to talk. I mean, we talk about all this stuff anyway, but this is really a neat way to talk about like some of the things that we normally do, except like in a podcast style. It's been really cool.
One thing I've realized just from like sitting here, I think like when you're just like hanging out in a group of people, like you have a different way of talking in that group. Like it's more loose. So in this way, it kind of, at least for me, I feel like it's forced me to think of really what I want to say, like as I'm speaking, and like put things in a way that it's understandable to an audience. So maybe it's like I don't want to bring up a bunch of niche references that the audience wouldn't be able to follow. Like I'm like thinking about what I want to say, and that's gonna like make sense to people. And I think that I don't know, it's cool. It's almost like acting.
Yes,
it's almost like acting.
Well, we kind of did that with Marcus. So Marcus is our friend that goes to Lehigh and he's never home.
Yeah.
I realized that we kind of
explain
him. Yeah. But yeah, there's it's a lot more structured in the podcast, which is it's different from a lot more lot less loose than how we are like in a hangout session, but it's not structured in a bad way. It's great to really like talk more in depth about some things that you're not going to be like if we're hanging out, I'm not going to be like, all right guys, tell me about your hopes and dreams. Like it's a lot nicer to talk about those things in a setting like this than it is outside hangout.
Yeah, that's one of like the fun, cool things of having kind of a platform like this, alongside something I brought up on here before, like kind of being a time capsule. Like, of course, Jason and Harrison being on episode 7. You could kind of look back at that, and now we can look back at this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of the fun, kind of everything coming together. And kind of speaking of you, Jason, you can TD the Zicast anytime. Thank you so much for filling in.
Yeah, Jason. Woo.
Yeah, and of course,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so with that all said, guys, I'd like to thank you both for coming on. And as always, this is Ryan Ziaks with the Zicast, where everyone has a story, signing off. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye, guys.